I've spent years trying to understand my mind, and I think the most important thing I have learned is nothingness. Not emptiness, not numbness, just peace. And this is something I don't usually talk about, but it has shaped me more than design, more than moving abroad, more than any project or achievement. It's the idea of nothingness. Not in a dramatic sense, not that I feel empty inside or I feel dead inside, not in that sense, or not even depression. Nothingness as a state of mind, a place where you observe everything without reacting to everything, where you can be present without your mind screaming all the time. I wasn't always like this. When I was younger, I remember I was very attached to the idea of achievement, identity, goals, becoming someone. Then, in my teenage years, I started reading a lot. I started reading books on psychology, mind, behavior, spirituality. And out of everything, I still remember this one specific line which made me go and practice the idea of nothingness, which was all I know is that I know nothing. Yeah. I fell in love with this idea. I started practicing it slowly, quietly for years. Literally, it took me like at least 2 years to really practice it naturally alive. I trained myself to not overreact, to not depend on what people say about me, to not let my emotions explode everywhere, to just observe. And over time, this nothingness became part of my identity. It gave me peace, like real peace, not excitement, not being high on dopamine like the way we are right now. Just this quiet feeling that nothingness outside me can fully control what's inside me. You know what I mean? It freed me from overthinking. It freed me from chasing validation. It freed me from building a whole ego around my achievement, from around my identity, which I'm building. But every mindset has a shadow. So does nothingness, right? When you go too deep into the idea of nothingness and you practice this too much, you can also start living on autopilot, which is kind of we are living right now in this century where people are living on autopilot with high social media. But I did it on the idea of nothingness. I know what you do is like it's kind of like a feeling where you do a lot but you don't feel a lot, right? You keep moving, you keep achieving, you keep learning, you keep helping, but when you look back it feels like you have done nothing. You forget to appreciate yourself, basically. You forget to see your own journey. You forget that you actually lived a lot of life. That's the main paradox I have realized recently. I do everything I can, but inside it feels like nothing. So now I'm trying to build a new version of myself. Not only the nothingness version, but also the reflective version. For me, it's like having two modes. First mode, nothingness mode, which is resting mind, the part of me that doesn't overreact, that doesn't build ego castles, that doesn't cling to too hard labels of self-identity, right? And it protects my peace. Okay. The second one is reflection part, where it's more about deeply noticing the part of me that chooses to think, to feel, to look back, to connect dots, to actually see what I've lived, not to overthink, but to feel more awake in my own life. That's the idea. So it's like nothingness keeps me light, reflection keeps me aware. Nothingness frees me from the weight of I am this, I have achieved that. Reflection lets me actually see what I have done, who I have helped, what I have survived, what I'm becoming. Nothingness stops my mind from eating me alive, and reflection stops my life from passing by unconsciously, right? Together, together they create someone who is calm, not too numb, detached, but still able to feel deeply, at peace, but not sleepwalking. And that's who I want to be. Not a monk who leaves the world and not a machine who lives inside it. Just a human who is awake in their own mind, right? If there is anything I want you to take from this video again, it's question. Do you even know who you are without your labels? Are you actually thinking or just reacting to your surroundings? And when everything else falls away, what remains inside you? Those are the questions I want you to reflect. Because sometimes the quietest part of your mind is the one that knows you the most. Thank you.